I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into the gripping world of Jagged Justice with Robert E. Key. In this intense thriller, a retired homicide detective and his recruits take matters into their own hands, punishing criminals the law failed to hold accountable. Will their vigilante justice bring peace or peril? Stay tuned to find out. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this amazing book. The links are below this interview. Robert, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Well, thanks so much, Logan. Pleasure to be with you.
Pleasure's all mine. Great to have you on a show. We live in a world where today many criminals aren't prosecuted. There's no bail, they're arrested, they're released. It feels like there's no justice. You have a revolving door in the criminal justice system with people being, arrested and charged dozens and dozens of times without doing any real jail time. Is that a little bit of the motivation for the vigilante justice that we see in your book?
Oh, yes, indeed, absolutely. The idea for this novel, for this story, was in the aftermath of the O.J. Simpson trial. That was many years ago. That's been 29 years, almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
But I think everyone on the planet understood at that time that justice was not delivered in that case. The jury apparently went through something called jury nullification, and despite the mountain of evidence against O.J., the jury found him not guilty. Well, in the years since then, I began to wonder what could be done, what possible remedy could be applied to rectify matters and bring justice to not necessarily to big time celebrities like him, but to everyday criminals, as you say, those who are now escaping justice through various means. So that's kind of the derivation of the story.
Yeah. I mean, that was the root behind the Dirty Harry movies. It was the 1970s and crime was out of control. And it seemed like police had their hands tied by liberal prosecutors and so forth. So you got this guy out there who was taking matters into his own hands and people loved it. You cheer on the vigilante when you feel there's no justice. Tell me a little bit about Derek Overton and how you created him and your research behind his character.
Sure, he is a retired homicide detective. Retired after a very successful career. I think he had prosecuted, or rather, had investigated and cleared through arrest something like 350 cases during his lengthy career with the Phoenix Police Department. But during the late years of his career, he began to feel very upset and disappointed at the results of several of the cases that he had investigated. And post-retirement, this feeling grew with him, and he decided basically to do something about it. Now he had, because of his career, he possessed very sharp skills in criminal investigations where successful arrests had been made. So he knew very well how to avoid detection in the operations that he and his group undertook in terms of avoiding leaving fingerprints, DNA evidence, shell casings, and all the rest of it, which could be deemed evidence when the authorities, law enforcement authorities, arrived to investigate the case.
Do you envision Jagged Justice as a film or a TV series?
Well, actually, I've thought about that, and it seems to me that the book is structured in a way that each chapter deals with an operation of the committee, as they are called. This group of vigilantes, they didn't call themselves vigilantes, but that's kind of what they were. Right. Each chapter deals with a separate operation to put things right in specific cases. So it occurred to me that it might be better adapted to a TV series rather than a movie.
Yeah. Who would play Derek Overton? Do you have an actor in mind?
Yeah, I do. Billy Bob Thornton.
Well, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Derek Overton is originally from Texas, and he has a Texas twang
Hmm.
to his speech, as does Billy Bob. He's from Arkansas. And his his twang is similar to that of East Texas, so I think he'd be a pretty good match for that role.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he could hang up his lawyer credentials on Goliath and pick up a badge or a bully club or a gun and be a vigilante former
Right,
police
right.
detective. Yeah, I think that'd be perfect. Anything he does is great. He's a very charismatic actor, so I think that's good casting on your part and good writing on your part as well. Have you thought about writing a sequel to this book?
Yeah, I have. I've kind of started, got some basic ideas about a sequel involving one of the one of the committee members,
Hmm.
a guy by the name of J.W. Barrett, John Wayne Barrett,
Hmm.
who was a security agent, and he joined the committee and was very active in its operations to apply justice in the cases they investigated and sought to put right. He retired, became a police officer, police detective in Oklahoma City, and eventually retired from that position and moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So my second novel will be centered in Albuquerque,
Hmm.
and it will involve him becoming involved in the drug scene there, sort of as a mini sequel to the Breaking Bad series, where
Hmm.
drugs were first and foremost in that. So
Yeah.
I'm developing the plot. I haven't gotten very far with it yet, but that's my idea.
Well, it sounds like a great idea. I love the character of JW, John Wayne, because he's the ultimate tough guy in many, many ways. He's the
Exactly. Yeah.
quintessential tough guy, right? You know, you have Clint Eastwood, you have um, the original, of course, is John Wayne. So we'll have to get a contemporary. Maybe I don't know what the age of your character of JW, but I was going to say Tom Selleck, although he might be aging out at this point for that role, right?
He would be great. He would be great.
He's a great actor, that's for sure, and a big
I
guy
think
like John Wayne.
JW would be about in his late 50s, maybe at
Late
this point.
50s. Okay, so I
Yeah.
have to get somebody like that. That's for sure. That's wonderful. Well, tell us a little bit about the committee that's involved, the people that he's wrangled together, Derek, to be his vigilante justice group.
Yeah, he envisioned it as being a very small private group, staffed with highly skilled, highly expert, and knowledgeable people. One of which was JW, who we discussed. The other was his next door neighbor, Steve Simmons, or excuse me, Lee Simmons, who was a former Marine and an expert marksman. Another committee member was an attorney who served as an associate prosecutor with the district attorney's office. By the way, in Arizona, district attorneys are referred to as county attorneys. But at any rate, the other member was a guy by the name trying to think of it now. He was a owner operator, very wealthy guy. Phil was his name. Of a construction. He was a construction contractor and a devoted hunter, and had a great familiarity with firearms.
Mm.
And he was kind of the outlier in the group. They were not sure about his loyalty, but the plot kind of revolves around him as an anti person in the plot.
Great, great. I think it's a great story. It's a great structure. Do you want to give the folks at home an overview of the book? Tell them a little bit about the storyline?
Well, the story began. It consists of a series of what the committee calls operations, where they identify through various means, through various sources of information coming to them about cases which need their attention. And this involves, uh, in many cases, cases of domestic violence, violence against women, stick ups of convenience stores, even outright assaults and murders, rapes and murders in certain cases. And when they discovered that either the suspects had never been arrested or had been arrested and had not been held to account for their wrongdoing, for their crimes, they undertook serious investigations, very detailed, in order to decide whether or not to take them on as a part of their operation. And as I say, almost each chapter deals with one of those cases, and the accountability applied varies all the way from stern lectures with promises of follow up with aggressive actions to some of these people, to physical injuries involving sometimes, just roughing up a little bit. Better straighten up, dude, or it's going to happen again. To serious injury requiring hospitalization, all the way to total elimination of the perp involving whacking. That occurs sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need judge, jury, and executioner to deal with crime that's not being dealt with by society. Before we leave you today, I just want to ask you, what do you think's behind this push not to prosecute crime? I mean, it's crazy. In San Francisco, they're allowed to shoplift up to $900 worth of goods. In New York City, you can jump over the turnstile as many times as you want. I mean, we learned under Giuliani, you can bring a city under control by policing the simplest crimes before they become big crimes. And now they're letting all crime go, it seems. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's shocking. It really is shocking. And it has to come to an end. And I really sense that all this will reverse itself, perhaps in the next few years. Yeah. A good sign for that is San Francisco, when their district attorney was sent packing, and a new one was elected. So that situation may be turning around. But police departments must have the backing of the politicians to do their jobs. District attorneys, prosecuting attorneys must do their jobs to put things right again in this country. Crime is a serious problem right now.
Yeah, it's a dereliction of duty. That's what it is. If you're not prosecuting crime, it's a dereliction of duty, and they should be prosecuted, in my humble opinion. The name of the book is Jagged Justice. It is an intense thriller. A retired homicide detective and his recruits take matters into their own hands, punishing criminals the law failed to hold accountable. It's a series of episodes within this book, or stories. Each chapter begins anew with a different story. And I think you'll find them very, very satisfying, very, very rewarding, very, very intriguing, very, very provocative, particularly in this era where crime seems to be going on without any hindrance from the law. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Robert.
Thank you, Logan. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.